If you are solving a brand new problem that has not been solved before with a complicated human component, until you go run a simulated live experiment with real humans, that is a behavioral experiment, not a verbal feedback experiment, nothing you do will get you to more than 15 to 20% confidence. So you can spend a year trying to refine and come up and pick the right idea out of your pool of 50 ideas, or you could spend 5 minutes and not worry about which idea you pick, then build a 30-minute prototype and run a 30-minute test. You get the same result actually, because you still get your 15% more confident. Pivoting is your walk, right? So if you can pivot in a few hours, then that is actually the same pivot that people pivot in a few months or a few years. So we get people who come to us all the time, and we've started polling every single one of our people who finish our projects. How long would it have taken you to do a standard project? What we've learned is that people consistently tell us they say 6 months to 2 years of development time because they do all this unnecessary work before their pivot. But you can pivot in a matter of hours or days.
That's amazing. There is so much in this that I want to ask you about. What I'm hearing is that there is focused interrogation. There is a sense of what the alignment looks like around people around the table, so around the team. When you talk about this confidence level. And then there's also this question of every stage in the journey has a certain amount of progress that is possible. And I think all of that is super interesting because you're breaking that down in a much more concrete and specific way than just saying we have a problem, we want to solve it, let's just run hard at it. I really like that.
So what happens is that the right types of experiments that you run from 0 to 20% confident is different than from 20 to 40%, is different from the experiments you run from 40 to 60% and so on. So from 60 to 80%, you can start running high volume tests because you've validated your questions. The data that you get from high volume polling and experimentation is valid. But from 20 to 40%, you're really just trying to get at least like 3 pivots in there in order to validate what your questions basically are and what the language you're basically working on is. So you're running small sample size kind of human tests.
That is really helpful. Okay, so if I'm recapping that, again, there are stages here in the confidence levels and different types of questions and experimentation, different types of prototyping that you're doing at each one of these stages.